Let's bring my friend Tone in. Hey, Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
Likewise, happy holidays, sir.
You bet. You think the Eagles utilize Devontae Smith enough?
I don't think it's the quantity. I think it's the quality of his reps. I don't think they're creative enough with him, right? I think when I look at his numbers, I mean, obviously AJ Brown's having a monster year as far as targets, receptions, yards, so on and so forth. But as far as his opportunities, I'm not mad at his opportunities. Would I mind giving it to him more? I wouldn't mind, but they already struggle getting the ball to Goddard. So I feel like if anything, cut down on AJ's opportunities, reallocate those to Goddard, and then we'll have a more balanced offensive attack. But to your immediate question, I think it's more so about the quality of the rep rather than the quantity. I don't think they're creative enough with him.
Get him. Devontae Smith is more. Would you not agree? Devontae Smith versus AJ in open space is more frightening.
I don't know because I'm looking
He's
at
faster.
AJ, probably stride for stride. He's faster for sure, but how much faster for one, and then for two, that physicality that AJ has in the open space and how he moves. I don't know. In the open space, I'll take my chances with the bigger body.
Why wouldn't you do that with both?
No, I understand. I understand where you're going though. The fact of the matter is they're not creative enough with the weapons, right? You can make an argument. Tennessee was more creative with AJ. They was more creative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But nonetheless, you said something earlier, right? When it comes to this offense, okay, they have a good game, but what does it really mean? What does it really mean? You're playing the Giants. How can we really judge you? How can we really gauge if your offense is really fixed or if you healed your issues? I said this to you yesterday. The only thing I'm really looking forward to is for them to establish some level of rhythm. Can you get a rhythm going on offense? Can you get Jalen confident again in what he's doing? Can you restore that, right? But I'm not gauging on how great you are, how far you can go in the playoffs based on if you beat the Giants twice and the Cardinals. That's not going to be enough for me.
Maybe what we're both saying is approach.
Exactly.
I want to see your approach on Monday, how you're getting guys open.
Agreed.
Because that is going to carry over on what you're looking at with the guys you have in your huddle on what you're going to do in the postseason. You know what? If I were them, I would take these next 3 games almost as a preseason to start doing some things these are teams, dude, the Giants are not in the room with you.
They're so bad.
They're bad everywhere.
But the Eagles are going to find a way. They're going to find a way to make the game competitive.
That's scary.
That's where I'm at with it. They haven't proved
because a better coach. Do you agree with the comment I made earlier, Tone, that the Eagle coaches aren't good enough to coach bad players that are on the team?
Ooh, that's interesting. Because you see coaches like
Zach Taylor, Kevin Stefanski, Kevin O'Donnell.
Kevin O'Connell. Yeah, let's stay there. That Vikings team is not that good. But him and Brian Flores are finding a way to coach those guys up, right? Right now in Philadelphia, I don't see where they're coaching guys up.
You lose Shane. Get this, Tone. Sirianni lose Steichen, and they lose balance. Those other guys lose their starting quarterback, and you said something perfect. They're coaching their unit up.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They're probably doing more coaching now than they had to when Cousins was under center,
right,
or when Burrow was under center.
Yeah, and look, that's the luxury of having, really good quarterbacks like a Kirk Cousins, having a great quarterback like a Joe Burrow, and you got Jamar Chase. The luxury you have is that they can elevate what you're calling. They make it look that much better. They kind of hide, they hide the blemishes in your play calling, or they hide the blemishes in your scheme, so on and so forth. That's what talent does, right? But in Philadelphia, what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing talent trying to elevate coaches instead of coaches trying to elevate players. I don't think they do a good enough job putting these guys in optimal positions where they can be dangerous to the defense. I don't think they're creative enough with these guys. What's so crazy to me? And a lot of people may think I'm crazy when I say this. I think the most dangerous person on the field is not AJ Brown, is not Devontae Smith. I think the most dangerous player on the field for the Philadelphia Eagles is Dallas Goedert. Because to me, in my humble opinion, whenever he's getting it, whenever he's eating, that offense is indefensible. You have no idea where the ball's going to go. They're way more balanced. They're way more physical. I believe Dallas Goedert is the real engine of the Philadelphia Eagles offense. When Goddard is eating, when he's getting physical, it sends a spark through the whole stadium, sends a whole spark through the whole team. Their offense just looks better when they're actually getting him involved in the offense. Every time Goddard touches the ball, I feel like he's taking it 20, 30 yards every time.
How about this, Tom?
They're not creative enough.
How about this? There's a reason that in the NFL, many teams don't have great linebackers. But what are you starting to see over the last 15 years?
Tight ends are taking the game to another level.
Ferguson's, the Kittles,
the T.J.
Hawkins, guy in Baltimore, Goddard's. The guy in Washington, who's not a big name, is a good ball player. Every team has a tight end that's becoming essential in how you move the sticks. Because why? The linebacker position, Roquan Smith, Warner, the guy in Buffalo when healthy, there's a couple dudes in the league.
There's only about 4 or 5 linebackers that can actually
cover tight ends.
That can actually cover. That can legitimately cover tight ends stride for stride. There's not that many of them.
So it's become a mismatch.
Exactly. It's become a mismatch. So
but then why are the Eagles trying to make the tough throw? Is this really all about aesthetics?
That's a beautiful question. I think it is. They love to try to throw the ball over the top, throw it deep, throw outside the numbers. And my thing is, there's so much real estate in the middle of the field that we're not taking advantage of. They took advantage of the middle of the field against the Seahawks in the first half. They ran the ball and they threw the ball in the middle of the field a lot. But then second half comes and they got away from it somehow, some way. That's my problem with this offense. They don't stick with what's working. They feel the need to constantly reinvent the wheel. If it's working, it's working. If not, tweak it. And in the middle of a game plan, in the middle of a game, they just get away from what's working for them. And I don't understand. It blows my mind still why Dallas Goedert doesn't get the targets that I feel like he should be getting. He is the most out of every player on the field. Dallas Goedert poses the largest mismatch because of his he's too fast for linebackers. He's too big for safeties. You got to take advantage of that.
Look at the guy MG2. Absolutely. That guy Laporta, I think he's the first rookie tight end to go over 70 catches, 700 yards, and 7 touchdowns.
He's good.
Dude, you're finding these guys because, I've said this before to people when, you had Antonio Brown in Pittsburgh and you had the running back who used to tweet upside down, that dude, whatever, Le'Veon Bell. And when Ryan Shazier got paralyzed, that was the biggest loss for Mike Tomlin because he was the Gronk neutralizer. He was a cover 2 type of guy that could cover tight ends, fill a gap. He was so good. I think he played at Ohio State back in the day. He was such a great football player. And they're good still defensive, but there's a reason they're not good against the run anymore, and tight ends kill them. Because they don't have Ryan Shazier on the field. Yeah. When you got a guy like that on the field, you neutralize that tight end, you shut down teams.
There's 2 linebackers that I wanted the Philadelphia Eagles to draft because I knew they were very good cover guys. Now, are they debatable in a run game? Whatever. But as far as guys that can legitimately cover, there were 2 linebackers I wanted them to draft, I think in the past couple years or so. And one of them went to the Chiefs and one of them went to the Browns. I wanted the Eagles to draft Nick Bolton out of Mizzou. He can cover.
Player.
He can cover. He's not the biggest dude, but he can cover. And I just felt like he was such a talented prospect that he can immediately help your defense. Right now, he's doing amazing work for the Chiefs.
I'd rather have a cover linebacker than a linebacker that plays the run.
Right, exactly.
Because 2 deep tackles. If I had a cover linebacker right now, Tone, you know what I thought of? Hey, think about this. Maybe that's what they thought about with N'Kobe. He's not big enough. Maybe they thought he was going to be more of a cover guy, and the 2 tackles in front of him would take care of the run.
And maybe he could have been, right? But he can't stay healthy, so we'll never know. It makes no difference.
Right. I think maybe I never thought about that, but I'd rather have a cover linebacker than a guy because the one thing about TJ that they moved off of on and why they didn't want to pay him the 7 is because he can't cover tight ends.
And I understand that logic, but unless you legitimately know for a fact you have someone to replace him, you don't make that move.
Agreed.
But also, so I said Nick Bolton with the Chiefs. He went to Mizzou, great prospect. I wanted the Eagles to draft him in the second round. But Chiefs got him. Then the other guy I wanted, they could have got him in the second round. Linebacker out of Notre Dame, Jeremiah Koromoa Owosu. Linebacker for the Cleveland Browns, Jeremiah Koromoa Owosu. The dude is a problem. He can cover linebackers. He plays the run very well. He hits, and he's just an athletic freak. I love those two players, and I felt like the Philadelphia Eagles dropped the ball with those guys. But nonetheless, I think that's their biggest issue, right? In terms of the linebacker position specifically, it's not that they're not trying to invest assets into the position. They can't evaluate the position.
No, they can't.
They can't evaluate it.
No.
You know, in the past 3 years, they drafted linebackers in either the first round or the third round. They can't evaluate the position.
You know what I'm going to do next week, Tone? I'm gonna count how many players that they have drafted on defense at positions that they miss on: corner, edge, and linebacker. And I did that 2 years ago, and I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to take a deeper look because I know that they have drafted something like 25 linebackers since 2000, and they haven't landed on one.
Yeah, I can't really think of one that's they got better. Well, Hicks didn't last; he couldn't stay healthy. But they got a better job hitting on linebackers that's undrafted or something like that, or undrafted players.
They do.
It's just weird.
You know what?
I don't have a problem with a guy being undrafted. By the way, I don't have a problem with that at all, because sometimes those are diamonds in the rough. You know what I mean? They're hungrier. You know what I mean? So they just don't go. They don't do a good job evaluating that position.
That's because you like that guy that has the journey or the journey traveled, guy that's not drafted. Look at Seth. Seth was a 6th rounder.
Yeah.
Seth Joyner was a 6th round draft choice and turned out to be one of the best linebackers in the decade. Let me ask you this question. If the Eagles do not make the NFC title game, and I'll bring it back more. How about if the Eagles get bounced in the opening round of the playoffs? Say they're in the wild card round. Do you move off of Nick Sirianni?
No, they won't. They won't.
Would you?
Would I move off of them if they get bounced in the first round? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. As emotional as I am, I wouldn't make that move. That'd be the ultimate panic move. Here's the trajectory that we've seen with Nick's career. 9-8 first year, 9-8 rookie season as a head coach. Granted, he had Shane Steichen in the building, but he went 9-8, made it to the playoffs. So his first year, he made it to the playoffs. Second year, made it to a Super Bowl. Third year, make another playoff berth. We have no idea where they're going to end up ultimately. But so far, 3 years in a row, playoff berths. You have a chance to win the division again. Although things have been very bad, and I mean very bad, and you know how I speak on it freely. I don't pull punches with that guy. They're not going to pull the plug on him off of a rough ending.
I think you're looking at it wrong. Can I tell you why?
How so?
All those coaches that have records that have had success like that have had more input in their team's success when it comes to drafting, hiring their coaches, drafting and getting a quarterback and developing players. Nick is part of a system, and they believe the system is the record, not Nick.
I hear what you're saying,
their
but they won't fire him though.
Their mentality, that's their record, not Nick's.
They won't fire him though. It's too soon. He has to give them a season.
Agreed.
He would have to give them a season below 500 or at least close to it.
How about you being 2-3 in the postseason?
2-3 in the postseason.
That's his record if he loses in the opening round.
Oh, if he loses in the opening round. That's if he loses. Oh, well. I mean, yeah, they're not going to fire him still, though.
How about this? He goes into the next season, they lose again in the opening round, and he's 2-4.
Now we're playing hypothetical. But to your point, if that happens,
yeah, because I don't think it's going to trend up in any way.
To your point, I don't know where he'll be at this point. But if I had to guess, if they went to the playoffs next season and lost in the wild card round, they'll make a move.
Okay,
I think they would.
Let me ask you this: Do you think Nick Sirianni's the head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles in 5 years?
No.
No. Okay.
I mean, head coaches aren't built to last. It's not many that last that long. He's already had what, 3? He got 3 years on his belt now. That's implying he'll be here for 8 years. That's not going to happen.
Is Jalen Hurts the quarterback in 5 years?
Yes, I think he is.
You think they're a Super Bowl contender in 5 years?
Wow, that's far ahead. I mean, that's...
How about 3 years?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm willing to say that. I think
Super Bowl contender this year.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
You're assuming they're going to get better then.
Yes. Yes, I am. Remember,
so you're assuming then that the front office and the coaches are going to change.
No, I'm assuming that they're going to make the necessary adjustments. At the end of the day, you got to learn. And so far, they've made a lot of mistakes this season that you have to learn from. So I'm relying on my optimism.
Oh, wait. You think that's an organization? You say this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to hold your feet to it. You say this all the time. You go like this. I don't think that organization does enough of self-reflecting and self-evaluating. You really believe that they think that these issues are their fault? Or do you think that these issues are players' faults? You got Nick Sirianni saying we're doing the same shit we did a year ago. That implies to me that Nick's saying that player performances aren't up to snuff.
But we've seen Eagles coaches get fired before. So
absolutely.
So they don't have any problem Xing the guy.
I don't think Nick. I think Nick's got the least safest job in the building.
Nah, if I had to rank it, it would probably be Brian Johnson. Like Brian Johnson be going before Nick Wood. So
Brian Johnson's a pawn.
I mean, you said the job in the building.
Those assistant coaches are pawns. Hey, isn't it funny? So you had a strong-minded, willful coach in your secondary last year. And your secondary was the best part of your football defense outside of your front seven.
Mm-hmm.
You get rid of that guy and it falls apart. And because he had some different opinions on things, and they hired people that they elevated people.
All right. Let me ask you this: Do you think Matt Patricia is a yes man?
He worked for Belichick. And I'm looking at Patricia like Bieniemy. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I now have learned that Bieniemy's not a yes man.
Right.
To Andy. He's not a yes man. That guy's an asshole. And people in Washington said it, people in Kansas City. But one thing is evident. He's successful on what his job is.
Right.
Is to get the quarterback prepared. Now, he don't give a shit about cornerbacks and anything else. So Bieniemy's not a yes man. Get this. His last 2 quarterbacks he's dealt with, one was a Super Bowl MVP. This guy may lead the league in passing yards.
Right.
He worked up in New England for 17 years. Every single one of those coaches that have gone on to become head football coaches out of that coaching tree have had colossal failures. So, yes, I think Patricia's a yes man.
Because he's failed?
Yeah, because there hasn't been one successful coach in that building that has gone on with and shown any kind of strength and leadership anywhere else in anywhere they've ever coached. Not one. Judge. Flores is probably the only coach.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're equating his failure in Detroit to him being a yes man?
I'm saying this to you. When you can go multiple places and you win, you do things your way, not their way. And
I don't know if I fully agree with the premise because I can be a hard ass, but I may not just be a good head coach. I may be great at what I do, and that's defense. So the reason I brought that up was because for Howie Roseman to position Matt Patricia to position Matt Patricia, as this pseudo defensive coordinator, that kind of goes against the status quo in terms of the kind of guys he puts in position of power. So
he was
I don't know.
easily replaced in New England.
You said he was easy.
When they won they won multiple Super Bowls without him. Wasn't like he was some sort of like important cog up there.
I mean, he was their DC for how long? I mean, you speak
I
about
think
his resume.
he got 2 Super Bowl rings.
I mean, you laud about his resume all the time. Now it doesn't mean anything.
As working with his resume is great. His resume is great. So is Eric Bieniemy's in Kansas City.
Right.
But to me, Doug Pete, this is why I like Doug. Doug has taken what he did in Philly.
Does Belichick strike you as someone who likes yes men around him?
Yes.
Interesting.
Because when Brady's not there, there's no success in any place he's ever coached. Now, I'll give you this. He early on, I think his strength was this, not hiring assistant coaches. His strength was hiring personnel people like Nick Caserio and guys like Scott Pioli. When those guys were in the building and they were bringing free agents in, guys like Julian Edelman, guys like Amendola, Wes Welker, guys that nobody had even thought that were anybody, and they were bringing those kind of personnel. Johnny Nobody from Worcester, Tom Brady was throwing to. All those personnel guys were fantastic. His position coach guys, to me, Tone, it's kind of like Philly a little bit. Really didn't matter what kind of position coaches you had. I think one thing Bill is he's a phenomenal defensive-minded guy. There's no question. He's the greatest defensive NFL head coach that's ever lived.
So Matt Patricia has 3 Super Bowl rings.
3?
Yes, he has 3. And obviously they're all with the Patriots. I guess for me, I guess the point I'm trying to get across here is I don't know how good Matt Patricia is going to be in Philadelphia, right? Your situations matter.
How about him putting Bradbury in man coverage at the end of that game?
That was malpractice at its finest. That's quite literally not knowing your personnel.
Your first game, that's not knowing your personnel.
Yeah.
So again, that's the Eagles putting a guy maybe in position that wasn't prepared. I'm not saying qualified because to your point, he's clearly qualified. But Matt Patricia, not to know that guy can't and doesn't have the steps to hang. Wasn't it the rookie that beat him?
That's malpractice. Yeah, it was the rookie. That's malpractice. You put the oldest legs on the youngest legs. Come on now. So it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that play, malpractice at its finest. Malpractice.
At the end of the year, if you're the Eagles, do you fire all coordinators?
If it's up to me, I'm getting rid of all of them. If it's up to me, Desai's out, Patricia's out, Brian Johnson's out, and then I'm letting Nick Sirianni ride out for another year, and I'm bringing some OGs around him. And if it works, then we got some action. Because listen, sometimes you can only be as good as the sum of your parts.
No, your assistant coach.
You got to have good people around you.
You got to have great assistant coaches,
right? And that's okay, right? I want people around me that are smarter than me. You know what I mean? I don't want people around me that's just going to just agree with everything I say. That's not how.
How could the Eagles not know that coming off a Super Bowl where you lose by 3 points? That's again, Tone. That's the ego in the organization.
That goes back to what you always say: control.
Yeah, ego. Okay. Control?
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, exactly. And also another thing that the Philadelphia Eagles, you know how back, what was that, about a year or two ago, they called themselves, what was it, the quarterback factory? They also like to consider themselves a front office factory, right? They pride themselves on their process so much, and they're so proud of their process so much, like it gets in the way of their decision making. And
didn't Joe Douglas draft Zach Wilson?
Joe Douglas, he's with the Jets, right?
Yeah.
I think he did draft Zach Wilson. But
didn't Andrew Berry give Deshaun Watson that $225 or $230 million guaranteed deal?
That's true. What about Burt Reach, though?
That's Andy's guy.
Burt Reach came from High Rosen's front office.
Okay. All right.
So I mean, listen, all heroes don't wear capes. Everybody Everybody got a bad deal on the resume. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. All right.
But again, my point is though, they care so much about, hey, you know, we groomed this guy and we got this many people out, from our system, from our process, doing big things all across the league, and they're so huge on their process. You can't be so married to something where when clearly in your face there are mistakes happening. So here's my thing, right? Here's what I'm banking on, right? There was a point in time where we looked at Harry Roseman as a guy who drafted from the worst schools ever, right? But now he drafts from where? The SEC a lot. So he's shown an ability, just despite the bad trend, he showed an ability to learn from his past mistakes, right?
That's true. He
I'm
has.
expecting
And
I'm expecting
instead
this.
of Slippery Rock University,
Right. He went
he's
to Alabama
hanging in.
or
He's
Georgia.
hanging in because I'll tell you what, Tone, and it's a great point you just made. How he looked at the wait a minute. No. Yes. That's an analytics thing. And I'll tell you why it's an analytics thing. If I draft 10 Southeastern Conference guys versus drafting 10 Conference USA guys, the averages in my favor are going to be that I'm going to land on more guys that are going to be more successful in the NFL to whatever level that means.
You can make an argument initially that they were leaning more on the analytics in the draft because they were drafting guys and you were like, wait, why Jalen Reagor? How? It don't make sense.
Yeah, but don't you think Nolan Smith is an analytics draft?
No, I'm not saying they don't use it.
I agree with you.
Now.
I'm agreeing.
Well,
I think we're agreeing. I am.
Yeah, what I'm saying is now I feel like they're using their common sense and saying, hey, listen, the eye test clearly, listen, SEC guy, Georgia, Alabama, whatever, Texas, Texas Tech, whatever, however you want to slice it, right? They're looking at it as, listen, why not get the best players from the best schools? Make it's common sense, right? And at least, and also when you do that, if our perfect example, right? Our Bryce Young, Alabama quarterback. Am I mad that the Panthers drafted him? No, because he was a killer in college. You know what I mean? He was a killer. So I can't get mad at a team for drafting a guy that everybody wanted, and then he just didn't pan out. You know what I mean? Like CJ Stroud, he panned out, but let's say he did it. Am I going to get mad at Houston for drafting a guy who clearly was killing it in college, one of the two better quarterbacks? If they don't make it, listen, it's the lay of the land. Sometimes you can draft the #1 prospect that everybody wanted, and then he could be a bust.
Tone, I don't mind guys taking swings.
So I don't mind. So that's my point. I don't mind a guy taking a swing. If you draft a guy in the SEC, that tells me, okay, you're trying to give yourself the best chance at success.
That's why when you're taking a swing at a guy from Alcorn State like Steve,
you look crazy. That's
a crazy swing.
Exactly. So,
but when you land on it, it's crazy success.
Right. So,
but that is 1 in a million that you're going to. Taking a swing at Bryce, that's 1 in 5.
Right. And that's why I'm banking on
how analytics
learning. I'm banking
on analytics.
I mean, it's odds. Yeah, I guess it's analytics. Yeah, I guess. But again, my point is they're simplifying their process.
Yes.
They rely too much on analytics at one point.
I don't mind that kind of analytics when you're putting the 10 best people in the building that were in college, and whether they make it or not, there's no question that I'm going to take swings at 10 SEC guys versus 10 Pac-12 guys.
Exactly.
Or 10 conference or Sun Belt guys. The Sun Belt guys, you may land on 3 guys
out of the entire
draft.
I'm banking on how we figured, and that's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on
that's why 68 guys from the Southeastern Conference last year got drafted.
Yeah. So
that's out of what, 290 or 275? That's a ton.
Yeah, man. The SEC the NFL should be just known as the NFL SEC, however you want to call it. But yeah, that's what I'm banking on, Sales. I'm banking on Howie's ability to learn from his past transgressions.
Is Howie Roseman the general manager in Philly in 5 years?
I see no signs of that changing, so I'm gonna say yeah. I see no signs of that changing, so I'll say yeah.
You don't think Laurie would do this? How about this in the offseason? Let's play a game. Okay?
That sounds terrifying.
Okay. Let's play a game here. You ready? Here's the new rumor and the new words going around. There's 2 coaches. Belichick's too old. Not interested.
Yeah.
The Rooneys and Mike Tomlin, after 17 years, may want to part ways. David Tepper is dear friends with the Rooneys. There could be a possibility that the Pittsburgh Steelers trade Mike Tomlin to Carolina. Or the word is Washington. If you were Jeffrey Lurie, would you want Mike Tomlin and Jalen Hurts? Wouldn't you want that? But then that would mean this. And for the record, know this. Mike Tomlin knows how to work with a front office.
Yeah, I was about to say he doesn't strike me as somebody who's
adversarial with his front office.
Yeah, he does. He's firm. He's firm, but he's
they hired a guy who's second in control for Howie as the assistant general manager in Pittsburgh.
Exactly. Yeah, Andy Weidel.
Yeah, Andy Weidel's now there as the second in charge in Pittsburgh. So, I mean, wouldn't you, if you're the owner, want to put a guy like that? Could you imagine Mike Tomlin being the head football coach, making guys completely accountable, and a guy who, get this, Tone, knows defense?
I was just about to say, what I love about Mike Tomlin is he knows his side of the ball and he stays on his side of the ball.
That's right.
That's what I like about him.
Then you bring Frank in to run the offense.
And then you bring somebody, and you bring in an offensive mind as your
who
OC
knows how to work with the front office,
who knows how to work.
Is friends with the owner and the GM.
Here's the thing though, right? Whether my OC, like, you help me out with this. Like, does it really matter if my OC knows how to work in the front office? Because all he's doing is
in that building, yes, it matters.
Okay. All right. So and again, I was just curious. So yeah,
I think
I wouldn't mind that at all.
I think there's certain teams, Tone, that doesn't matter. But I think that there's certain teams, and in today's NFL, I think the analytics department has been. 20 years ago, the analytics department was? It was a couple 20-year-old kids sitting in a room putting numbers together and coming in on a trend sheet and giving it to you. Now, they've got staffs that put these analytics together, Tone, that are like a big-time unit in these buildings. It has become such a major part. That's not an Eagle thing. That's an NFL deal. And I've told you, that's why you see all these young coaches, and many of them started in those analytics departments and have worked with those guys because those guys help put the game plans together. So what I'm saying to you is that you got a guy here. Wouldn't you be interested in that with Mike Tomlin?
Yeah, I love Mike Tomlin. So if Mike Tomlin ever was an option,
I never said that the Steelers are firing him. I said that they're talking trading him because they may want to part ways.
They're not listening. Plus it's a hypothetical. But nonetheless, I would love Mike Tomlin in the building. I love his personality. I love his approach. Militant as hell.
Jalen likes him.
Yeah, he thought he was going there. He thought he was going to Pittsburgh at first. And that was and then when he got the Pennsylvania phone call on draft day, he thought it was Pittsburgh.
I don't think Tomlin's going to be in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, how many years do you think he got left there?
This is his 17th season.
Do you think
I think he's done. I think they're going to come up with a way. Maybe Tomlin goes to TV.
You think this is last year?
I think I look. How many? You're not going to a Super Bowl in the next 5 years.
No, I'm just saying. Like, do you think?
I think he's going to pull a Sean Payton, and I'll tell you what I mean. I think he probably. I mean, can you imagine Mike Tomlin on a network? Man, he would be. Oh my God!
He'd be dynamite. Yeah.
To Jesus Conversations with Mike Tomlin on Fox. I might want to listen to that.
That'd be pretty cool.
Hey, and Sean Payton went to Fox for a year. He sits out a year, or they do make the trade. I don't. Oh my God, no! I don't think he's done coaching. But that's a guy that deserves a break. I mean, dude, it's 17 seasons of being a great, not a good. He is a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah.
Never losing seasons. Super Bowl winner.
It's a shame he doesn't. It's a shame he doesn't have more Super Bowl rings because I felt like he should. But the quarterback has either been hurt, old. Also, they played in that Tom Brady, Peyton Manning era, so it's kind of tough.
That is, you know what? Very few times do people That's correct. That's like Phil Mickelson playing in the Tiger era.
It's like
Hey,
playing that.
Phil
It's like,
Mickelson's a really great player, but he was never Tiger. No
it's like
shit.
It's like playing in that Lakers era, that early 2000 Lakers era. It was hard. You know,
That's like saying that Karl Malone wasn't really super great. You had played in the Jordan era,
right? Like, what can you like? It's just certain things that are just inevitable. You know what I mean? You can't fight the motion of the ocean. So, look, here's the thing about the Philadelphia Eagles team, right? Especially when it comes to this Giants matchup.
Good.
They understand that. Well, I would like to hope they understand the gravity of the situation. They dropped the ball in Seattle.
I think the players do.
I think the players do as well. I still look at them as a team that's going to find a way to make this thing competitive on Monday. That's
because you have faith in the players. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not wrong.
Like this game is going to be more competitive than it has to be.
Let me tell you where. Here, I'll flat out tell you.
Like really, they should beat them like 40-13,
37 easily.
But they won't.
How about this? I think the players are on a sense of urgency on Christmas Day. I think they're aware of the surroundings and what's going on.
Mm.
I think the coaching staff doesn't think anything's wrong. And that's why the game will be close.
And that's going to be their undoing.
That has been their undoing. And Tone, you say it. They don't self-reflect, the coaches. The players do. And my point on Jalen about, you know, I hated how the Philly media made him have to like quantify, or what was it? What was the phrase? Had to.
Yeah, he said something along the lines of when I said we, I meant me, something like that. And I'm like, okay, I guess.
Come on. So wait, he had to clarify his take on what he meant in the moment. I find that to be insulting. If you need clarification, that's a you thing.
Well, that's where we are, right? That's where we are. And media is like, you say something,
yep,
and then it's like they don't take what you said at face value. You're like, what did you mean by that? I said what I said. You know what I mean?
Why does Jalen Hurts have to clarify that?
That's a great question.
You think the organization made him clarify that? Or not made him, asked them to?
I think, you know what's so funny? I wouldn't be surprised if they had a conversation with him, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Jalen Hurts, because remember, if they're first out of the game, you're frustrated. So you're going to get the hottest take of hot takes.
I think those are the truthful takes.
And then I'm with you. But then you sleep on it and you say, all right, let me try to soften this up a little bit. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to create more division than that already exists.
Oh, really? I'm so sorry that you hurt your feelings. Hey, guys. Oh, this is what I meant. So if you thought I was talking about you, hey, man, football's a tough man's game, man. Sometimes tough things need to be said here. Hey, this ain't kissing babies and cashing paychecks here, Hoss. This is playing football games on Sundays and Mondays. Let's go. What are we doing here, man?
No, I agree.
That's why I love Mike Tomlin, man. Hey, hey, this is bigger than you.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe players communicate to their team one way and communicate to the media another way?
Oh, completely.
So is it fair to say that's what that was?
I think Jalen was showing you a true side of himself after the game, and he had to pull it back in so that I think there's no doubt.
Because he takes his image very seriously.
Tone, you talk to the media differently than your personality.
Right, exactly. So
because you know why they know this? Again, this is the Clark Kent mentality. You have to talk to people like they're Clark Kent.
Mm-hmm.
You can't talk to them like they're Superman. Okay? Because Superman could take all kinds of bullets. Most people can't take bullets. So you talk to them like Clark Kent. Most people, and in my business, most notably, they are all Clark Kents. Guys like Derek Gunn aren't. Okay, Derek was brutal last week, and I loved it. I totally dug what John McMullen too.
Yeah,
I mean, I was like,
people
yes.
tend to prefer when you're palatable. You know, when they can, soften you up a little bit. But again, right, I look at it like this: a guy like Jalen Hurts, he's a pretty intense guy, and he strikes me as somebody that's pretty self-reflective amongst his peers, amongst his teammates. I would like to believe that he's explaining the sense of urgency, and he's making sure that they feel it. Now when he talks to the media, you got to put on, you still have to represent an organization, you got to represent yourself, all that kind of stuff. So you're going to always give them the PG version, right? But I'm pretty sure when they're in those meetings, watching that film and the practices, I'm pretty sure Jalen's very intense and firm with the guys.
Cody's right. I heard that too. Brandon Graham said he was going to talk to Jalen about his comments, finding out about it on WIP. Maybe his teammates had something to do with it too. Brandon Graham as a leader, and guys like Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson and Fletcher Cox probably went to him and said, we don't need you. Or no, they wouldn't put it that way. They would go, Jalen, this is a time, leadership, because they have a leadership council on that team. So they probably met, and a leadership council would meet, and they would probably say, listen, okay, it's us against everybody. So let's rally the locker room. We can't lose the locker room. This is about us, not anyone else, about us. And throwing our coaches under a bus is not going to be good for us. So let's steady the ship. Probably something like that was probably said with the leadership council.
Right. And that's how I'm looking at it, right? I'm looking at it like so much stuff has been said over the past week or so.
Did, not the PR department. The players and the leadership council probably wanted him to clarify. So yes, Cody, that makes 10 times more sense.
Because think about it, right? You got Nick Sirianni putting his foot in his mouth. You got Sean Desai losing his job, and it's so many distractions, right?
Yeah.
Adding something else to the table wouldn't be beneficial.
Do you think that all those?
I think Jalen's trying to steady the ship. Yeah, kind of similar to what you said about Jerry Jones, right? They lost that game, and Jerry Jones could have, jumped up the handle, but he said, "You know what? Let's steady this thing. I'm not helping. Let me clear this up. Let me clear this up with y'all because my guys because my guys know what I meant, but let me make sure the world knows what I meant." I think that's what that was.
Yeah, I completely think that, because they could have had even more of a lengthy conversation that, hey, all the distractions cost us Seattle. I mean, we can't have it cost us these 3 games in the division and potentially home field.
Yeah, and also it makes it look.
Do you agree that Seattle game was lost because of distraction? Seattle had no right winning that game.
That game was lost on Wednesday.
That is such a good take.
That game was lost the moment this Sean Desai
situation. That is such a good take. It's the best take you've ever had on this program.
Think about it. The news dropped the day before the game. They're already in Seattle. That news drops. People are asking you questions. You're walking through the buildings and the streets, and people are murmuring, "Hey, well, what happened? What the hell's going on?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, I believe that game was lost before Sunday. That game was lost way before Sunday. As a matter of fact, it was lost when they started doing the up downs.
Hey, I'll tell you what, man. It's a really good leadership move by Brandon to publicly say that too. He said that on IP. I heard it, Cody, and I was like, "Huh." And I didn't plug it in, but then I know there's a leadership council on that team. Tracy's told it to me. There's like 5 guys on it or something like that.
Yeah, it's Kelsey, Lane, Fletch, BG, and obviously Hurts.
Hurts, right. Isn't it funny AJ's not in that?
Yeah, Smitty's not in it either. It's if you notice, it's only one young guy in it, and that's Hurts. You know what I mean? The rest of them are the guys that won the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Those are the only guys left on the roster that won the Super Bowl, and Jake Elliott, the kicker, but you don't like kickers. So
Kickers are football players, dude.
Jake Elliott was huge. He was huge in that season, man.
Oh, wait a minute. Elliott's a football player when you're kicking game-winning field goals in overtime. Other than that, these guys are sitting under an umbrella in a fold-up chair with a Mai Tai in their hand. That's not a football player, dude.
You won't.
That guy's going to do any kind of up-downs?
You know what it's going to take, man? Like, Jake Elliott's going to have to kick a field goal
in the Super Bowl like Vinatieri.
He's going to
Vinatieri's a football player.
Listen. Elliott's going to have to kick a 70-yard field goal in a blizzard while he's fighting a sharknado, while he's disarming a nuclear bomb. Then he'll be a football player, right?
Vinatieri, when he kicked that field goal against the Rams to beat him, he was a football player in the overtime.
Oh,
absolutely.
Man. But yeah, though, I think overall, though, look, they're going to win these. It's so hard to even commit to this team sometimes. They're going to win the next 3 games. They should win the next 3 games. They should. But will it mean anything in the long run? No, not really. Not really.
They better win Christmas Day.
They better.
Hey,
they better. Because my Christmas is going to be all right. I don't know about theirs, though.
20 Eagle win. Is that a win on Christmas?
31-20?
21-20.
No. What? Come on, man. That's a loss still.
See, now that comes down to Philly cheesesteak, Tone. Okay.
21-20 against the worst team in the NFL.
Oh, so there's aesthetics with you here now, Jeffrey, right?
No, that's cute. No. No. I don't really care much about aesthetics, but 21-20. Come on, Sills. We watched the Bills beat the Cowboys with all running plays. You know what I mean?
Completions.
So my point
from
is
1942 offense.
I don't care how many yards you run for, but if you beat the Giants 21-20, we got issues. Think about that. We got real issues going into the playoffs. If you're struggling against the Giants, real issues. You know, what optimism does that provide me going into the playoffs?
We win,
especially when optimism is already low.
They win Monday, right?
I think they will.
Yeah. I think it's a 31-9 game.
They lose that game, they might as well just turn in a playoff card.
You think? Hey, do you think that expedites the questioning of Sirianni as the head coach if they lose that Giants game?
Now we're talking. If those next 3 games don't end well, Nick Sirianni is going to be on the hot seat starting 2024. Just you watch.
No. I don't hate WIP. I hate Odyssey, LJ. Hey, thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
I cannot. By the way, Philly 500. We're going to get a fan's perspective.
Yes, sir.
And again, Tone's Tone's both.
Yeah, I kind of go
both.
back and forth.
Yeah, but get this. I don't know, man. That fanism, them pom-poms got thrown in the trash can about a month ago.
Well, think about it. It's been disastrous. It's been disastrous. And I got to call it how I see it. See, here's the thing. How I'm talking now is how I would be talking with my dad. You know what I mean? I'm not saying anything I wouldn't normally say. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty critical to the team. So,
Tone, yeah. Merry Christmas to you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Likewise, my friend. Likewise.
You got it. That is our good friend. Don't forget also our good friends at Hooters. It is December. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, you see what Tone has just put up there, DanSilioShow@gmail.com, giving you a chance, this last chance. We're going to probably do this on a football Tuesday because we're not on Monday. Christmas Day, obviously, is there for everyone to celebrate with their family. So we'll be doing this on Tuesday, announcing a winner. All you have to do is email DanSilioShow@gmail.com, all your information, and you may win yourself some merchandise or some great gift certificates. And there's the code word. You'll see it throughout the rest of the program. Also, too, the Santa Bucks are here, $5. Great stocking stuffers still. As we get closer to Monday, still a chance for you to get them there. All you have to do is purchase them. You can go to northeasttutors.com. That's northeasttutors.com. You can also go to the app over the weekend to watch your favorite football games on Saturday and Sunday, Christmas Eve. HootersToGo.com. Great specials, lunch specials, Monday through Friday, 11:30 to 3. Boneless wings, happy hours, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6. $6, 6 items. Very simple for you. That's northeasttutors.com. northeasthooters.com. And when you roll in, do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
Eat chicken wings, buy Hooters things. Christmas is near. Shop, have a beer. Christmas shopping shouldn't be hard. Give your friends a Hooters gift card.
This year, stuff their stockings and yours too with a one-size-fits-all gift card. Buy a $25 Hooters gift card and receive a $5 Santa's bonus card. Make it Hooters for the holidays.
Eat chicken wings, buy Hooters things. Christmas is near. Gift cards are here. Good at Hooters everywhere now. Hooters gifts are always favored.